Hey man, and welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode, I am standing up the mezzanine inside the Barndo. Let's get started. Sorry about the lighting. Welcome to Man Time. Yeah, there's actually two ways we can do this lighting, but it appears that the LEDs are causing some sort of rolling thing going on, and it's pretty bright. High bay LED right in your eyes. All right, let's get started. I'll get in here where we can see a little bit better. So here's what we got going on. I have got all of the uprights assembled, made, and it turns out they're within like a 1/16 of an inch of each other. I was going for, what did I say, 105. And then there's two 3/8 end plates, so 105 and 3/4. And we ended up with 105 and 3/4. So we are looking all good with all of these, basically. And they're all within, like I said, a 1/16. So that would be plus or minus an eighth. If you've got one minus a 1/16 and one plus a 1/16, they're all within an eighth, which is exactly what I was going for, to create a 1/8 inch rise or dip within a 30-foot span here. That echo is a little crazy, isn't it? And anyways, I use some of these Harbor Freight dollies to get the I-beam into place, and now I've got to stand them up. I measured from both sides of the Barndo to find the center, and the way that I did that, I measured like 29 and a half or something like that, and 29 and a half. This is 60 foot across. And then I just split the difference of those two marks at the center, and then as a double check, I've got a peak right in the center, and it lines up with a ridge in that bar panel, and it comes down and lines perfectly in the center, or just about. So double check there. Let's get in here and look at some of the new tools that I got to get these things anchored to the ground. All right, so let's start with some of the smaller stuff. Of course, you're gonna need a pair of gloves. I ended up getting a new tape measure. This one's gonna be 35 foot, because again, I've got 60 foot across, and I need to come and measure at some spots 30 feet. And if you're trying to measure 30 feet with a 30-foot tape, sometimes it's a little difficult. So we got that. We got a new paint pen, and I got all this stuff from Home Depot, I think, if you're wondering, and some stuff from Harbor Freight, but most of it from Home Depot. The reason I went there, they had the better concrete bits. Let's see, so these ones are the SDS Plus M4. So they've got, I'll grab this big one just to show you a little bit easier, but they've got 4 cutting points coming off of it. And the 3/8 one looked really good, where it's got, a really nice center point, and then, they had the same ones in the Diablo, and they only sold the Diablo ones from Home Depot, so that's why I went there. But I also got a backup in some Harbor Freight ones. While I was at Home Depot, I saw that they had these really nice strong arm C-clamps. These are Bessie brand, but they've got this ratcheting system, and I was noticing that when I was using the other ones, they were always kind of flopping around unless you had them just right. These have a nice ratcheting system here with a couple deals there that hold it in place. So if I need to get, within a little bit, I can just push it up, ratchet it, it holds it in place, and then clamp it down from there. I thought that was a pretty ingenious idea. They had a 4-pack that was actually about the same price as just buying 2 on their own. So that's pretty cool. Still got my magnetic level, torpedo level, so I can use that to get straight up and, flat across. And then I bought some new tools. Of course, I am on the DeWalt system, so I'm going to get the 20-volt stuff. Got a 20-volt cordless vacuum, and then I wasn't going to do it because I thought I had a SDS hammer drill laying around somewhere. I ended up not being able to find it, so I got the SDS hammer drill. Now this one is the brushless version, DCH 273. So it's got the hammer drill, and just hammer. So I've seen some of the SDS Plus bits where it's like a chisel, and so you could run a chisel off of this or a drill bit that has the SDS, or whatever you want there. So let's see how we're doing here. The hardware I've got is 3/8, so I'm going to run the 3/8 bit, of course, and let's see how this works. Well, there's a way. There we go. Okay, I guess it just pushes in there, and then you release it with this collar. That's the way it seems anyway. Yeah. Seems like a pretty good tool. It has a nice low profile to it, and if you wanted to get even a little bit lower profile, this handle is what's keeping it off, maybe as much as an additional 1/4 inch. So I'm going to see how it goes. If need be, I'll just pull this handle off and get in there to the maximum, you know, amount of closeness I can. There we go. Yeah, so that's going to give me the closest angle, because coming inside of these W-beams, you need to be as close as possible to get as straight of a hole as possible. So I'm going to try without. I think I'll probably end up just having to run it without. And then finally, I'm also on the DeWalt 12-volt system, so I've got my impact, brushless impact that's in 3/8 with a 3/8 bit set. So once I get those anchor bolts in, hammer them down. I'll need a hammer. I think I've got a couple of those around, and then I can just run them in with that impact. That's the plan. So now let's try to stand up this I-beam. Okay, so I've got the Harbor Freight Daytona rollers, right? And I'm going to try to set this kind of as close as possible here, where it needs to be. I've got center right here along this seam in the arm panel. So we'll just set this off. Like that. Oh, another nice thing, having that 1/2 inch lip overhang on all sides of this W-beam means I'm not going to pinch my finger as badly trying to set it down with a little bit of a gap there. Anyways, let's stand it up and get it into place here. All right, man, well, I am a little bit further along. As you can see here, I have a new light that doesn't have the flashing in the screen type of deal. It is very difficult to get the exposure right and everything like that. It is pretty easy to see, but as I'm going through and like welding and anchoring all of these uprights down, it is nice to have a light. So I'm going to show you some of the tools that I've got here now at the worksite. To include some of the lighting, some of the power, and also like how it's kind of coming together, because I've explained it a few times, but until you like see it actually coming together, it's hard to picture in your mind. So let's take a look at the progress so far here on the mezzanine in the Barndo. Here is one of the uprights that I am just about to get anchored down to the ground here, and you can see the tool setup that I've got here. I did find some body shims, a body shim kit at Harbor Freight. That's what I'm using to get these perfectly straight up and down. And you can see here, got the level on there, and I make sure that it is perfectly perpendicular to the ground and straight up and down. So when I go to anchor the I-beam across the top there, it is perfectly square. And we'll see that on this next portion of it here. All right, so I've got this lit up pretty well here. You can see the main I-beam structure of the building right here. Turns out these magnets work pretty good to hang like stuff on, right? So I've just got those 90-degree magnets hanging my welding stuff. Of course, I got, well, let's see if I can get out of here. Yeah, so I've got my grinder, and then here's how I'm tying it in to that beam structure, right? I've got the piece of W-beam running across. I've got an upright here in the middle, and then an upright down there in the corner. Of course, those are anchored down, anchored down. Might be a little bit difficult trimming out, you know, around that one there. But then it comes over here, and there's about a 6-inch gap between this beam and the main I-beam here. And I've just run about a foot-long piece of additional I-beam there, clamped it, and then welded it to this one. And I've just got done welding it. Of course, you can see some of the tools I have sitting up there, a couple hammers and stuff like that. But yeah, the workspace is all coming together, you know, pretty good. Using this and then a system of ladders to get all of this welded up. Okay, so here is right in the center of the building, right? It's got this line of columns. I wanted a clear span, you know, through this area right here. This span across here is 30 feet, and for that I'm going to be using 12-inch I-beam. It's going to rest on top of here, span across here, rest on top of here, and then I'm going to have my purling on top of that running this way. And here's one that is pretty well, it is completely welded up. I've got, of course, the ground, you know, going out, and then if we take a look out here, I'm going to have to change my lighting, but we can see the welder set up. Yeah, and then so right out here, I've got the welder. Of course, you saw that video getting this thing ready to go. Managed to get it up here even with, you know, the tire running a little low on juice. But yeah, everything is working really well with this, and it is supplying power for both the welding operation and to charge up any of the ancillary type of stuff like the scissor lift and whatnot, you know, right in here. As for another key piece of the puzzle here, I got one of these little power packs, and that is charging up the light and, well, keeping the light lit, right? Finally coming back to where we started off here. One of the challenges I'm having to face is like this window, right? I've got an upright here, and it's meant to go like right here. Like that's the line where the 12-inch beam wants to sit, or is going to sit. But what I'm having to do is have an I-beam here to support, and then another one there to support. And it's also, again, going to be welded to the main upright. Let's see if I can get it here. Yeah, so it's going to be welded to that main upright and running right across there. All right, man, that is going to do it for today. Anytime you like this type of stuff, make sure to give a thumbs up and subscribe. But I'm going to be bringing you along here as I continue to go through this process of building the mezzanine inside the barndominium. If you're looking to do this and it's in termite-infested woods and want to do it with all metal, that's the plan here. So hopefully this helps you out. Get out there, have you some man time too.